let's see what's happening, bro. Let's see what's happening.
Almost 2 weeks ago now, I made a video giving you an...
I forgot. I have to 2 times speed this bitch. I forgot.
Update to a story I covered a few years ago about an Australian YouTuber named Friendly Jordies whose house was firebombed by some villains, by some really unsavory bad guys. Not only was his house firebombed, his neighbor's was too, because the assassin got confused on which one belonged to the YouTuber, so he firebombed both of them, which could have piled up multiple charred corpses here. It was an attempt on Jordy's life, really. And recently, Friendly Jordies announced that one of the people responsible for this firebombing had been arrested and is going to jail. And let me tell you something. The Australian justice system, the legal department over there was working overtime. They were cooking. They did not pull any punches. They threw the book at this guy. They came bearing their fucking fists and sentenced him to like a summer camp in jail, basically. So this bad guy is going to have a long, hard think about what he's done for the 45 minutes he spends in the slammer. He got 5 years in jail. And from what I've read, he's not actually spending 5 years in jail. Some of it is already taken off of it. So, for trying to kill someone, could have been multiple people from 2 separate firebombing instances, both aimed at Friendly Jordies here, a YouTuber. He's getting the tiniest slap on the wrist, almost like a slap on the ass. It almost is kind of like an encouragement, because they're not taking it seriously. They're doing less than the bare minimum. And today, Friendly Jordies just posted another video going even deeper on this situation, and it is fucking terrifying. This almost sounds like the government giving their stamp of approval to just go after Jordies because they're just not going to do shit about it. Their inaction is almost them just enabling more bad guys like this to try and kill Friendly Jordies. It is horrifying. So I really want to yap about this some more because it is just in broad daylight here. This corruption is not even slightly trying to be hidden in the shadows or anything.
As such, today I feel like I've been left with no choice but to again address the firebombing, as I've waited 3 years for the police to do something. And during these 3 years, I've not only watched them pass by on numerous chances to solve this mystery, but also somehow, for some mysterious reason, downright actually reject good leads that I've been aware of.
Look at this fucking title, bro. Jeez.
No follow-up or interest. It's been a joke. In my estimation, seen a single journalist publicly uncover more about the firebombing than the entire force combined.
Jordies is clearly and rightfully angry here at the lack of results here from a 3-year investigation with a lot of question marks for how things have been handled and how seemingly weak it has all been. It seems, from all available information here, that the New South Wales Police Department was more concerned with figuring out how many fingers they could fit into their butts at the office than actually getting to the bottom of this investigation. They did, like, the tiniest crumb of work by arresting one person in regards to the firebombing, whom the judge also said was the hired muscle. He was hired to do this. It was a planned attack.
That is the biggest slap in the ass. What?
Yet, they never even bothered to investigate who might have hired this guy. You know, the natural evolution, the natural next step of an investigation. You found the hired muscle. Now, come on, let's use our thinking caps here. What comes next? Who hired the muscle? That's where it should go, but never has. And Jordies is talking about how this investigation has just been a joke for the last 3 years here. And he is highlighting a journalist that has done significantly more investigation than the New South Wales police force has in 3 years, seemingly.
As you probably know, in 2022, my house was firebombed because of a video I made. A video which I was forced to take down a year after the firebombing, after threats on my life and the lives of others were attempted to be passed on to me via a former Mongols bikie sergeant-at-arms gangster-turned Four Corners journalist, Mahmoud Fazal. Yes. Four Corners, ostensibly the most prestigious investigative journalism institution in Australia, the esteemed flagship, no less, of our dear public broadcaster, the ABC. Allow me to reiterate, as that is really hard to capture just how damning this is. A Four Corners journalist was meeting with heavy organised crime figures, then sending through demands purportedly on behalf of those figures, threatening that if I failed to remove my investigation into these figures, myself and people around me would die.
This should be alarming to literally anybody. Like, if you are sentient, like, if you have self-awareness, you know, you can look at yourself in the mirror and recognize, oh, that's me.
Hell no, bro. Hell no.
Immediately start raising for some red flags. Anybody should hear this and then just start to wonder, how is this even fucking possible? So apparently a journalist at a very reputable organization had been apparently meeting with some crime families and passing along threats that if Jordies didn't take down his video investigation into them, where he dipped his toes into that topic, then he and others' lives were in jeopardy. Holy shit.
This story was exposed by Kate McClymont in the Sydney Morning Herald over a year ago, though I never spoke about it in depth. You can read it if you want more context, it's brilliant work. But the important takeaway is this. When faced with an abundance of new evidence relating to the firebombing, the evidence that was more than enough at the very least to charge a few people, what did the New South Wales Police do? As far as I'm aware, nothing. Nothing substantive, at least. I tried to question the Four Corners journalist who passed on these threats, but according to New South Wales Police, he refused to provide a statement. Shouldn't that ring a few alarm bells? Shouldn't that open up further avenues of inquiry when conveying threats in of itself can be an offence? Apparently not. This is every criminal's dream treatment. Burn down a house, threaten to kill people, have it reported to police, and then the police do nothing.
A recipe for disaster, a nightmare concoction for normal
Like, what are they doing, bro? Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Like, what?
people, but a dream scenario for criminals here. This guy gets to pass on all of these threatening messages, allegedly, and
Fuck
then,
no,
instead of
bro.
having any investigation into that or his connection, he just gets to say, I don't want to talk about it. And that's where it ends. That's very interesting because, as Jordy's mentions, even conveying threats like this in and of itself is kind of a crime. Or at the very least should warrant someone to poke around and be like, well, where's this coming from? You know, what's up with these threats on people's lives, you know? But that didn't happen. And he doesn't have to explain himself. He can just say, nah, not feeling like it. And that's just where it stops. Wow.
And then what did the national
Wow.
broadcaster do when faced with the fact that their reporter was telling people that he was going to meetings with gangland murderers in order to find out what death threats and messages to pass on to? Did nothing. Well, they didn't do nothing. Do you want to know what they actually did? They defended Mahmoud Fazal. They defended this man with his self-advertised gangster history and disproof against him, who slanderously claimed that Kate McClymont's article on the threats that he passed on were based on, how's this?
What?
Ethnic stereotyping.
it's like-
and the self-proclaimed greatest, most hard-nosed investigative journalist in the
It's like they're doing everything they have to do to fuck themselves over. Like, what are they fucking doing? Like, what the hell are they fucking doing?
country believed him.
Jordy's briefly explained that the reason he hadn't dove into this deeper over the last 3 years is because the authorities were conveying to him that it would be best if he didn't because it might hamper their investigation. So he kept his mouth shut and let them not do their job, basically. Or rather, not do the job they're supposed to be doing in protecting citizens. They're doing a great job in protecting criminals with this case here, just letting them totally have free reign here without them doing a whole lot on the investigation side of things, seemingly. That's how it certainly appears. What he's talking about here is that journalist who was conveying these threats, well, after that bombshell of an article came out, the broadcaster defended him, and his defense was basically, no, this is stereotyping. Doesn't get into the weeds of it or anything, just goes, stereotyping. This is all racism. She should be ashamed of herself. Yeah, this is racist. It's just racist, these claims. Yeah, no, it's all stereotypes. I guess that's all he had to say.
Stereotypes.
That was checkmate right there.
I can assure you that absolutely nothing in Kate McClymont's
Like,
article is incorrect.
bro.
And considering McClymont's track record, it would take a very creative, brave, or perhaps just in way too deep ABC management type to chuck an Eddie O'Bead and dismiss serious allegations as simply racist stereotyping. But it looks like that's what happened. The ABC were even offered multiple times hard documentary evidence to back up McClymont's claims, should they want to investigate these serious allegations.
Bro, I would be so mad. Chat, I would be so mad. Bro, if I went through his fucking shit and he has so many fucking criminal records and he's over here, like, going past this shit and this shit is like some racist shit. Like, I would be so mad, bro. I would be so, oh my god.
Evidence that they refuse to even look at. In light of, I have to stress,
Man.
grave allegations, death threats from one of their reporters.
That was just a watertight defense right there. They ulted. They said it's racist. We're not looking at it. All that information, all of that
Ulted.
overwhelming evidence that you were trying to put across our desk, nope, it's apparently racist. It's
They did as altered.
fucking absurd. It's actually preposterous. It would literally be laughable if people's lives weren't at stake here.
He was in the news over a
Yeah.
lover's quarrel with his now former podcast host, independent reporter Ryan Nemenko, a man with a similar story to Fazal, as he describes himself as part journalist, part outlaw. Nemenko claims that when it came to payment, Fazal and a man who had been the subject of Fazal's Four Corners stories in the past, former cocaine dealer Ben Aitken, demanded cash from Nemenko immediately. Why is this interesting? Check the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald. Nemenko has provided what he claims are further texts between himself and Fazal, in which Fazal says, quote, Geordies and his people, they're dogs, I want to kill him so bad. Yeah.
What?
I highly recommend you watch Jordy's full video going over this, but to sum it up here, put it in a nutshell, the journalist whom we were just talking about went into business with another part-time journalist, part-time outlaw, Nemenko, and the relationship soured for a variety of reasons, like the payment thing mentioned there, and through this, it was revealed in messages which allegedly could have been fabricated based on some of the headlines you'll see floating around, but the messages allegedly
bro.
show this journalist, whom, keep in mind, has some close ties here to some very unsavory characters, supposedly, outright saying, fuck Jordy's and his people, they're dogs, I want to kill him so bad. That's very scary.
Wow, that's
given
very scary.
His
Very scary.
supposedly close ties to the criminal underworld.
The man who I know for a fact said he was meeting with organised crime figures in order to ascertain what message to send to me from them. The man who ABC and police failed to investigate is now reported to have said he wants to kill me. So bad. There's more in these text chains, which is just as damning. But before I get into them, I want to note that as reported by Kate McClymont, Fazal has claimed that one of the text messages is fabricated and the others nearly taken out of context. Having seen the original chains, it's very difficult to see how these could possibly even be taken out of context. Plus, even if just some of these texts are real, as Fazal himself has now implied, that's enough of an indictment on Fazal and the ABC in of itself.
Another classic move here, reaching deep into his asshole, into the old bag of tricks. It's out of context. Oh, it's fake. AI. The deep fake. No, that's not my penis. It couldn't be. My penis is fucking 14 inches long. Well, soft. No, this is all a lie. This can't be. It's out of context. And, you know, I can't say with 100% confidence what is and is not authentic there. I haven't seen the messages myself, and I haven't seen the full context, but as Jordy's mentions, it's hard to imagine how context could, you know, save some of those messages from not being as scary as they are. And also, he does imply that some of them are real, not fabricated or anything. And as Jordy's mentions, any of those being real is probably enough of an indictment here, you would think. At least, maybe enough to warrant, you know, poking around a bit to see, you know, what the fuck is going on. Now, Jordy's does go over one of the text chains here. Again, doesn't really seem like it's missing a whole lot of context, and something Jordy's also mentions, in order to fabricate something like this, it would take quite a bit. Now, Jordy's had released a video 3 weeks ago about the firebombing situation update, where that one arrest had been made, and Jordy's was going on about how it's very weird how some of these journalists, these ABC-affiliated journalists, have such deep access to these bad guys.
In response, Nemenko has claimed that he and Fazal had this exchange. Ryan Nemenko, we all sweet to do Ep 2, or has that issue with Shanks rattled ya? Geordies and his people, they're dogs. I want to kill him so bad. Ryan Nemenko, are you f***ing serious? Over something you didn't do? Leave it. It's not your place. Mahmoud Fazal, bro, Alameddin still want to hit me. I need to make up to him with this pod and we will kill it. Better him than me, but f*** him. We should do a pod on that and get my story out. Just leave it. I'm not willing to speak about it because let's be real, you sent the f***ing threats. They f***ed you. Mahmoud Fazal. Nah, he has to get what he gets. He's a dog. Ratted me to Jax. Jax means police.
Well, that's not very good now, is it? Pardon my French, but this Fazal guy sounds like a real jerk. I know, I didn't mean to be so rude and nasty about it, but I mean, this is scary shit. I guess I'll give anybody the heebie-jeebies here. Because it's worth remembering that Fazal isn't just, you know, a lone wolf kind of guy. He's not like a random journalist that has no ties to anyone or anything. This is a guy that's being defended by a major broadcasting network with some very seemingly close ties to a notable crime family. It's holding a lot of weight here. It's pretty
yeah, bro, like, I feel like all this is gonna catch up to him eventually.
Terrifying stuff. But I think it's important we hear Fazal's side of things, because he has released an email here where he's calling into question the reliability of Nemenko as a source here for these claims.
Stating in an email to the Sydney Morning Herald, Ryan Nemenko has a criminal history, a history of harassment, and a documented record of dishonesty. As a journalist, you should know that background is material when assessing his reliability and motives as your source. How does he not see how hypocritical that is? Mahmoud, didn't you claim McClymont was relying on your background to stereotype you when she relied entirely on hard evidence for her claims? Now you're relying solely on Nemenko's background to refute text chains, some of which you yourself have tacitly admitted were real, just out of context. Again, how? What's the context in which any of this is okay? Please enlighten us. Plus, you have provided no hard evidence to the contrary, just Nemenko's background.
Whoa, pump the brakes, hold your horses, no hard evidence. Fazal provided the hardest evidence there is. He provided evidence harder than fucking tungsten. His word. And his word means everything. Didn't you read in the email where Fazal said that you can't trust Nemenko? And if Fazal doesn't trust him, then how am I supposed to trust him? Fazal has never given me any reason not to believe him at his word. Well, of course, other than that very clear, despicable hypocrisy that Jordy's pointed out, where when Fazal himself was faced with some very strong allegations with very strong evidence from a journalist, he claimed that it was all ethnic stereotyping, all about his background, so we have to just disregard it because it must be racist and nothing else. But now in this case, he wants to rely solely on Nemenko's background here, so that way we can write off all of those pesky text chains that are coming to light here. Text chains, by the way, that he himself has literally implied are authentic, and is trying to use the defense, the song and dance of, it's out of context. Would love to see this fabled context that Fazal speaks of here. Because I gotta tell you, sports fans, I can't quite think of anything that would make any of these text messages acceptable.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, chat, I'm not watching the rest of this, but all I gotta say is this guy is fucking ill. He is ill, bro. Like, man. Hope things get better. Actually, let's skip to the end. Let's skip this shit.
Cool year.
Seriously, this really needs to be emphasised because this is so damning, and not just for Zal, but the entire ABC as an institution. What is a Four Corners journalist doing, passing on threats to other journalists and demanding cash from this person? And why did it take until now for the ABC to even acknowledge that that might be a problem?
That's a great question. I'd love to hear more from the ABC about that. That is
Yeah,
very
ABC,
interesting.
bro.
Why is that the case? Some real big food for thought, isn't it? Now I'm going to go ahead and stop playing clips from it here, but I do, like I said, highly recommend you watch the full thing, especially the ending.
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.